Now, many of you will know that the European Commission intends to on imposing up to 38% of tariffs onto the Chinese vehicles that are imported into Europe. This is resulting in the Chinese EV makers or the Chinese automakers not being happy about this, because this is going to make, of course, or increase the price of which they sell their cars. Because, ladies and gents, as it stands, these cars or some of these cars are pretty expensive, and to get to see the European Commission wanting to come and impose more tariffs, it brings more hate onto the Chinese automaker. But for our favorite EV stock NIO, you'll know that the CEO has came and said that to some of their brands, or especially to the Firefly sub brands, he still feels that it will be able to compete even with the, of course, 20% tariff or more tariff to be increased on the existing 10%, which is something that is pretty exciting. Now, you will know that there are other countries and companies that are in Europe that are indicating that these tariffs, or European Commission should not impose tariff into the Chinese automakers, because this will hurt them, not just from China retaliating, but it will also hurt them because there are some other cars that they are importing back. They are producing in China and importing back into Europe, which that will also have some pretty good damage into their company. I mean, today the German Association of the Automotive Industry came out and voiced their concern with the European Commission also imposing this tariff onto the, of course, Chinese EVs, because they indicated that the number of cars exported from Europe to China is 3 times than the number of course, imports, which is something that shows you of how huge these German producers or German car producers are sending to China, selling their cars there. I mean, German producers are selling millions and millions of cars in China, and this what they are saying or trying to give advice on the European Commission, they know that it will come back and bite them. They further indicated that once China retaliates by introducing tariffs into the European cars, as you know that many of the EV car companies in China already sit down and proposed a 25% on tariff increase on all engine or European engine cars or European imported cars, which is something that is not good, because this will hurt your Mercedes, your BMW, and all the other brands that are importing their cars into China. China is a very huge or big market for these European giants or car producers, and these tariffs are creating a time bomb for Europe. Europe will get hurt more because, for instance, for a car producer like NIO, or for a car company like NIO, 96% or over 95% of their sales that they are currently generating now, they are in China. Whereas if you have to look into some of these big German producers or car producers, a lot and lots of sales are coming from Europe, and that China retaliating to these tariffs will end up hurting them more than how it will hurt these Chinese producers who are taking their cars into Europe. So the German Association of the Automotive Industry, it is supporting the EV cars like NIO, who are saying that this is not fair competition. This is not good, because at the end of the day, there needs to be fair competition, because the very same European companies that are doing business or selling their cars in China, they are receiving some fair treatment, fair competition, and they feel like they also deserve to be treated as such, even in Europe and in the US, which is something that even our CEO, Mr. William Lee, has been stressing from the beginning, that they need to be fair competition, because this does not look good. Especially the US does not want them to sell their cars there. They are making it more and more difficult for them to sell their cars in the US. So this article that we read, I think it's a pretty good article. It's good that we are hearing so many people are against this European Commission's tariff increase, which not only are the automakers are fighting for, but we are seeing now big associations trying to fight this battle, trying to stop the European Commission to impose these tariffs onto the Chinese EVs, because once China retaliates, then it might be game over, or it will hurt these EU producers or these German producers so bad that they won't be able to generate as much revenue, because China, it is a place, a market where we are seeing them generating tons and tons of revenue, even more than the kind of revenues that those Chinese car companies are generating in Europe, which therefore, as it stands now, they have more to lose, or those European companies or German producers, they will have more to lose than, of course, the Chinese makers losing by selling in Europe. So otherwise, tell me what you think about this whole article. I think it is a pretty good article, and to get to see that many people are starting to come and wanting to fight those that are in Europe, companies and associations, it is something that is pretty exciting, because these might lead or end up making the European Commission to scrap out this proposal, or even cut these tariffs further, which I think it will be some pretty good news for the Chinese EV makers or automakers like NIO. So I look forward to the resolutions. I look forward to what will happen as the final verdict, because the fact that we are seeing so many people raising their voice, I think the European Commission should consider and take their contents seriously, so that at least there can be some pretty good and fair competition in those countries. Otherwise, I make tons and tons of stock market investing videos, and if you think that this video was amazing, please don't forget to hit that likes button, comment and subscribe. And once you subscribe, don't forget to hit or click that notification bell, so that at least you get notified by YouTube every time I drop a new content. Otherwise, that's all from me, and I wish you nothing but the best in your stock market investing journey. Do your own due diligence before you buy NIO for the very first time, because NIO, it's quite volatile. I mean, today NIO did absolutely great in terms of the share price. We saw NIO share price surging quite well, which is something that gives encouragement and motivate those that, of course, are almost giving up on the stock. Otherwise, that's all from me, and God bless you all.